When a man gives you a hug, it can often reveal something profound about his emotional state. You see, hugs aren't just physical gestures, they're silent conversations. A hug speaks of vulnerability in a way words rarely can. When a man chooses to embrace you, he's opening a window into his emotions, showing you a side of himself he doesn't reveal to just anyone. It's not easy for many men to express vulnerability. Society often conditions them to be stoic, to hold back, to stay guarded. So when he leans in for that hug, it's an act of trust. It says, I feel safe enough to let my guard down with you. In that moment, there's an unspoken connection that goes beyond the physical touch. It's about energy, comfort, and a mutual understanding. A hug can convey, I'm here for you, or even, I need you. It's a bridge between hearts, a way to share a feeling that words might complicate. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. It's a willingness to let someone see past the walls and into the core of who we are. I shall mark the space. Provider requirements are laid out. In the greatest faith in our ability, people will become real. Think about the way he hugs. Whether it's hesitant, tight, or lingering. Each one carries a different message. A hug can tell you he's seeking solace, or perhaps he's offering it to you. It's a signal of emotional presence. And it's not just about him. It's about how he feels around you. He feels seen, valued, and appreciated enough to drop the mask and simply be. Men often struggle with finding outlets for their emotions, and sometimes the simplest gestures become their loudest expression. That embrace may be his way of showing affection, saying he cares, or even just letting you know he's there without needing to say a word. In many ways, a hug is as much for him as it is for you. So, don't overlook the significance of these moments. They're small but profound. A man's hug can reveal how much he trusts you and how deeply he values the space you share. Recognize the strength in his vulnerability, because it's in those moments of openness that genuine connections are built. Let the hug remind you that sometimes the quietest actions speak the loudest truths. When a man gives you a hug, it can sometimes carry a sense of protection. It's not just about wrapping his arms around you. It's about creating a space where you feel safe, a sanctuary where the outside world fades away for a moment. You see, men are often wired to protect. It's instinctual, something ingrained deeply within them. When he hugs you, it might be his way of saying, this protective instinct isn't just physical, it's emotional too. It's his way of shielding you from harm, offering reassurance without needing to speak a word. Think about the strength of that embrace. Is it firm, steady, and grounding? That's a man saying, I'm here, and I won't let anything happen to you. It's his way of showing he's reliable, someone you can lean on when life feels overwhelming. In those moments, it's not just about what he's offering. It's also about what he feels. He's expressing a need to care for you, to be your rock, even if he can't articulate it. Men sometimes find it hard to put their emotions into words, but their actions speak volumes. That hug, it's saying, I want to protect you because you matter to me. And it's not about strength alone. It's about tenderness within that strength. It's the combination of being strong enough to shield you and soft enough to care deeply. There's an unspoken message in that hug. You don't have to face this alone. Whether it's a fleeting moment or a prolonged embrace, his protective nature is woven into the gesture, creating a connection that's both comforting and grounding. So when you're in his arms, take a moment to recognize what that hug truly means. It's his way of expressing, I see you, I value you, and I'll stand by you. Let that protective energy remind you of the quiet strength in connection. It's a language without words, a bond that's felt more deeply than it can ever be explained. When a man gives you a hug, it can sometimes reflect the depth of his vulnerability. You see, men often live in a world where they're expected to be tough, unshaken, and emotionally guarded. Society has conditioned them to believe that showing feelings is a sign of weakness. But in that moment of giving you a hug, it's as though he's allowing the walls to come down, even if just briefly. That hug might be his way of saying, I trust you with a part of myself I don't show to many. It's not just about physical closeness. It's about emotional exposure. It's his silent admission that he feels safe enough with you to let his guard down, even when the world expects him to keep it up. Think about it. A hug so simple yet so profound can communicate feelings he might struggle to put into words. When he holds you, it's more than just arms around your shoulders. It's his heart reaching out to say, I don't have to be invincible here. It's a gesture that says he's willing to share his softer side, a part of him that's often hidden from view. In that embrace, you're not just close to him physically. You're close to the parts of him he usually keeps protected. Vulnerability doesn't come easily for many men. It takes courage to let someone in, to trust that they won't judge or exploit the tender parts of their soul. So when he hugs you, it could mean he sees you as a safe space, someone who won't take his vulnerability for granted. That's a powerful form of connection, one that builds trust and deepens intimacy. And while he might not say it aloud, that vulnerability in his hug is his way of asking, can I rely on you? Can I let you see the real me without fear of rejection? It's a plea wrapped in warmth, a confession hidden in the simplicity of an embrace. It's a moment where his actions speak far louder than words ever. So the next time you find yourself in his arms, recognize that he might be showing you a part of himself he doesn't share lightly. It's a gift of trust and an unspoken invitation to connect on a deeper level. Embrace it for what it is, a bridge to understanding him better. And when a man gives you a hug, it's often an unspoken signal of reassurance, a moment where he's trying to communicate, I'm here and I want you to feel safe. Men, as much as they may not always express it verbally, have a natural instinct to protect and provide comfort to the people they care about. That hug can be his way of stepping into that role without saying a single word. Think about the power of reassurance in a world where stress, uncertainty, and challenges surround us daily. A man's hug, in its simplicity, carries a message of stability and strength. He's saying, you're not alone in this. Whatever you're going through, I'm right here beside you. It's a quiet but profound expression of support that words sometimes fail to capture. And it's not just about you, it's about what it means for him too. When he offers you that embrace, he's reinforcing his sense of purpose in your life. Men often feel most valued when they know they're contributing to the well-being of someone they care about. That hug is his way of grounding himself in the relationship, of solidifying his place as someone you can lean on when times get tough. What's even more powerful is the way this reassurance is felt in the silence of the moment. It doesn't need to be explained or dissected. It's simply understood. The warmth of his arms around you is a declaration of presence, a physical promise that says, I've got you. It's as though he's creating a safe space within that hug, a brief escape from the worries of the world. This act of reassurance goes beyond the moment itself. It leaves a lasting imprint, a memory of comfort that lingers even after the hug ends. It's a subtle but enduring way of saying, you can count on me. And that's a message everyone needs to hear, especially during times of doubt or difficulty. So the next time he wraps you in his arms, pay attention to what's being conveyed in that silent exchange. It's not just an embrace. It's a gesture filled with care, commitment, and an unspoken vow to be someone you can rely on. Moments like these remind us that reassurance doesn't always come in grand gestures or eloquent speeches. Sometimes it's as simple as the strength of a hug. When a man gives you a hug, there's an undeniable sense of vulnerability involved. For many men, opening up emotionally can be a challenge, not because they don't feel deeply, but because society often conditions them to suppress or mask their emotions. That hug then becomes a window into his soul, a moment where he lowers his defenses and allows himself to connect with you on a deeply human level. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's one of the greatest signs of strength. By offering you that embrace, he's showing you a part of himself that he doesn't reveal to everyone. It's as if he's saying, I trust you with this part of me. This kind of emotional transparency is a rare gift, one that speaks volumes about how much he values and respects the connection you share. What's remarkable about vulnerability is its reciprocal nature. When someone shows you their true self, it often inspires you to do the same. That hug becomes a two-way street where both of you can feel seen and understood in a way that transcends words. It's a reminder that authentic relationships are built not on perfection, but on the willingness to show up as you are, flaws, fears, and all. For a man, this moment of openness is also a way of seeking reassurance from you. Just as his hug provides you with comfort, it's a way for him to silently ask, can I let my guard down with you? Will you accept me as I am? In that shared embrace, there's a mutual exchange of trust and acceptance, a quiet affirmation that says, I'm safe here. The beauty of this vulnerability is that it creates a deeper bond, a sense of intimacy that goes beyond the surface. It's not just about physical closeness. It's about emotional alignment, about knowing that you can rely on each other in ways that truly matter. These moments build a foundation of trust that strengthens over time, allowing the relationship to grow in authenticity and depth. So when he hugs you, understand that it's more than just an affectionate gesture. It's a brave step into vulnerability, a quiet invitation to connect on a level that so many people are afraid to explore. Honor that moment, because in embracing his vulnerability, you're also creating a space where love and trust can truly thrive. When a man hugs you, it's not just about the physical act, it's about the emotions, intentions, and messages that lie beneath that embrace. One key aspect of this interaction is his need to communicate without words. Men often struggle to articulate their deepest feelings, not because they don't feel them, but because expressing vulnerability through words might not come as naturally. That hug then becomes his language, a way of saying what his heart feels, but his words cannot capture. In that moment, he's leaning into connection, a place where words are unnecessary. Whether he's conveying affection, seeking comfort, or showing gratitude, the hug is his way of saying, I'm here, and this is real. It's a gesture that transcends verbal communication, carrying an authenticity that's hard to replicate in any other form. For many men, touch can be a bridge, a way to overcome the emotional walls that society or life experiences may have taught them to build. When he wraps his arms around you, he's choosing to connect, choosing to share a moment of closeness that speaks louder than any declaration. It's his silent assurance that he values your presence, your support, and your role in his life. This nonverbal communication is powerful because it allows emotions to flow freely without the constraints of overthinking or analysis. A hug can express everything from "I've missed you" to "I need you" to "you matter to me," all without a single word. It's a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful exchanges in a relationship happen in the quiet moments, in the spaces where words fall short. For the man giving that hug, it's also a form of emotional release. Life can be heavy. Expectations, pressures, and responsibilities often weigh him down. In that hug, he's letting go of some of that weight, finding a brief refuge in the closeness you provide. It's as if he's saying, "Thank you for being my safe place." And by allowing him that space, you're reinforcing the bond you share, letting him know that he doesn't have to carry everything alone. So the next time a man hugs you, don't underestimate what's being communicated. It's not just about affection. It's about trust, gratitude, and connection. In that embrace, he's opening up a window to his heart. And it's an opportunity for both of you to deepen your understanding of each other without saying a single word. That quiet moment can strengthen the foundation of your relationship, making it more resilient and meaningful. When a man hugs you, it often reveals more than just affection. It unveils a glimpse into his inner world and intentions. One of the most telling aspects of a hug is its duration and intensity. A quick, casual hug might signify politeness or friendship, but when a man lingers, holding on just a little longer, it can signal something much deeper. That extended moment speaks volumes. It's his way of saying, "I want to be close to you, to feel connected in this moment." This kind of hug isn't about obligation or mere custom. It's about savoring the connection, being fully present, and sharing a silent message that words might not capture. You'll notice in that extra second or two, he's giving himself permission to be vulnerable, allowing his emotions to surface in a way that's natural and unguarded. That's no small thing, especially in a world where men are often conditioned to mask their feelings. Pay attention to the way he holds you. Is it firm, almost protective, as if he's shielding you from the world? Or is it gentle and tender, conveying care and warmth? These subtle cues reveal his emotional state and how he perceives your relationship. A protective hug might reflect his instinct to support and safeguard you, while a tender embrace might indicate deep affection and trust. And here's what makes it truly impactful: the way he relaxes into the hug. If he lets his guard down, if his shoulders drop, and you feel him exhale deeply, that's not just physical, it's emotional. It's a sign that he feels safe in your presence, that in this brief moment, he can let go of the burdens he's carrying. In that hug, you're not just close physically, you're close emotionally. That's the beauty of this kind of gesture. It's simple, yet it carries layers of meaning. A hug like this is a moment of shared vulnerability, where both people can feel seen, valued, and understood without needing to say a word. It's a reminder of the strength and depth that can be found in quiet, unspoken connection. When a man hugs you, there's often more happening beneath the surface than just the physical act itself. One of the most profound ways this is expressed is through the subtle energy exchange that occurs during that embrace. Whether he realizes it or not, a man's hug can reveal his emotional openness or his hesitation. The way he holds you speaks to his ability to let you into his world and to share in his vulnerabilities. You might notice that some hugs feel more intentional, almost as though he's trying to communicate something he can't put into words. That's the power of human touch. It bypasses the intellect and goes straight to the heart. A hug like this isn't just about affection, it's about trust. He's letting you in, even if it's only for a moment. You can feel it in the way his arms wrap around you, in the steadiness of his hold, or even in the way he pauses before letting you. And then there's the way he responds to your presence within the hug. Does he lean in? Does he relax into it, as if he's taking a moment to ground himself? That's not just a physical act. It's a reflection of his inner state. When a man is comfortable enough to let his guard down, even briefly, it's a signal that he feels a level of security and connection with you. He's saying in his own silent way, I trust you to hold this part. Even the smallest gestures can hold big meanings. Maybe he places a hand gently on your back, or perhaps he pulls you just a little closer. These actions are ways of saying, I see you, I value you. They're not always conscious, but they're unmistakable in their intent. Hug is never just a hug. It's a moment of unspoken communication, a window into how he feels and what he may not be ready or able to say out loud. It's about connection, trust, and a willingness to share a part of himself that goes beyond words. That's why these moments matter, because they remind you that connection isn't just about what's said, it's about what's felt. A hug from a man can carry so much more weight than just a simple act of affection. When he wraps his arms around you, it's not merely a gesture. It's an expression of how he feels in that moment. It could be an indication that he wants to offer comfort, understanding, or a deeper level of connection. But sometimes a hug may go beyond all of that. It can serve as it's a window into his heart, a glimpse of his vulnerability and his ability to let go of his emotional guard. The energy in that moment is palpable, isn't it? The warmth, the closeness, the security. If he's holding you tight, it could be a way of silently saying, I need you, or I want to be here with you. And when he's holding you like that, it's as if he's asking you to stay for a little longer, to be present in a space where he feels safe enough to share himself without saying a word. What you need to understand in this moment is that a man's hug is not always a sign of weakness, but a sign of trust. It's an intimate form of communication where words fall short. It's where his actions speak louder than anything he could verbalize. For a man, allowing himself to be vulnerable in this way can take a lot of courage. It's not easy for everyone to let their guard down, but in the space of a hug, many are able to communicate feelings that otherwise may not be ready to express. Think about the way his arms wrap around you. Are they firm or do they seem hesitant? A firm embrace can often indicate a desire for closeness, as if he wants to hold on to the moment just a little longer. He might feel an emotional connection with you that he can't easily put into words. Alternatively, a more relaxed hug might suggest comfort, but it could also indicate a more reserved emotional state, one that he's not fully prepared to share. But no matter the hug, what's happening is that he's creating a space of emotional intimacy. In a world where men are often expected to be stoic and unyielding, a hug allows them to show that they too can be open, vulnerable, and in need of emotional connection. It's often in those moments that we see the truest side of people, not when they are at their strongest, but when he gives you that hug. Think about what it really means. It's his way of saying, I'm here with you, and I want to share this moment with you. This simple act is a powerful form of communication. It conveys his willingness to offer comfort, share his presence, and express feelings that go beyond words. His hug in its silence. And remember, there's nothing more genuine than someone showing up in a way that they don't have to, but choose to. A hug like this says, I trust you, and I'm letting you in. And that's something truly powerful to understand, because when a man opens himself up in this way, it's a vulnerability that not only speaks to his feelings for you, but also reflects the strength it takes to be emotionally available. So don't take that hug lightly. It's more than just a physical embrace. It's a moment of silent connection, an invitation to share in his emotional experience, and a reflection of the trust he's placing in you. It's a reminder that even in the toughest moments, a simple act like a hug can carry profound meaning, one that transcends words and speaks directly to the heart. By recognizing this, you understand that a hug isn't just a gesture. It's a conversation in the purest, most vulnerable form. A conversation that says more than words ever could. When a man gives you a hug, there's a deeper meaning hidden within it, something that goes beyond the surface level. It's not just a casual greeting, nor is it an obligatory gesture. It's an intentional act, one that can speak volumes about his feelings, his emotional state, and his desire for connection. In many ways, a hug from him is a form of communication, silent yet powerful. You see, in the world of emotions, a hug is one of the most intimate ways to convey affection and warmth without uttering a word. It's in this quiet exchange that you might discover the truth behind his emotions, whether he's comfortable, vulnerable, or seeking reassurance. But here's the thing. It's often in the moments when he gives you that hug that, for a man, expressing emotions outwardly can sometimes be challenging. Society often teaches men to hold back, to be strong, and to suppress vulnerability. And yet in that moment, when he embraces you, he is making a choice to step away from that tough exterior and connect with you on a deeper level. When a man gives you a hug, it's more than just the action. It's about the openness he's offering. In that embrace, he is sharing more than just physical closeness. He's sharing his true self, his heart, and his emotions. Even if it's difficult for him to express those feelings in words, think about the way he holds you in his arms, the duration, the pressure, the gentleness. Each of these aspects tells a story. A hug that lingers just a little longer might be a sign that he wants to savor the moment, to hold on to that connection and not let go. It could signify that he values your presence and doesn't want to rush the emotional exchange. On the other hand, a shorter, more immediate hug might reflect a different kind of emotion, perhaps a quick release of tension or a need for comfort, but with a sense of urgency behind it. The physical act of a hug often mirrors the emotional state of the person giving it. If he's holding you tightly, it's a reflection of his need for emotional security, a desire to feel anchored in the moment, and maybe even a hint of insecurity he might be struggling to overcome. That tight grip can speak volumes about how much he's relying on you, even if he's not saying it out loud. But there's more to it. A hug from him can also be a way to communicate without feeling vulnerable in a verbal sense. It's like he's allowing you into his world without having to explain himself fully. It's a nonverbal reassurance, a message that says, I need you and I'm here for you. In a way, he's offering his support through that simple gesture, inviting you to be part of his emotional space, whether it's for comfort, protection, or just the assurance that he's there with you. And let's not forget that a hug can also be a reflection of his trust. The ability to let someone in physically and emotionally is not something that comes easily for everyone. When a man opens himself up to you in that way, it's an indication of the trust he has in you. It's his way of saying, I'm allowing you to be close to me. I'm letting you see a side of me that not everyone gets to see. In this way, a hug becomes an exchange of vulnerability where both of you step into a space of emotional connection. Moreover, a hug from him can also be a moment of healing, a time when both of you can share comfort in silence. Sometimes words aren't necessary. There are moments when a hug can serve as the most effective form of communication. It transcends everything else. And in that space, no matter what's happening outside, you're both united in the understanding that sometimes just being together is enough. As a woman, understanding this dynamic can help you navigate relationships in a deeper way. Recognizing that a hug is not just a physical act, but a complex, meaningful exchange can change the way you interpret his emotions. It teaches you to look beyond the surface, to pay attention to the subtle cues in his body language, and to recognize the deeper layers of connection that may be taking place when he embraces you. So the next time a man gives you a hug, don't just see it as a simple greeting or a gesture of affection. Take a moment to reflect on what that hug really means. Is he seeking comfort? Does he want to reassure you? Or is he letting you know that he's there for you? Is it a reflection of how much he values you? In those moments, the hug is more than just an embrace. It's a key to understanding his inner world, his vulnerabilities, and his emotional landscape. This act is a beautiful reminder that love, care, and connection can be conveyed in the most simple yet profound ways, without saying a word, just through the embrace of two arms. When he gives you a hug, it's a message that says more than what he could ever verbalize. It's an invitation to step into his heart, to see him as he truly is, and to understand that sometimes the greatest expressions of affection come without words, but with a simple, heartfelt embrace. And so